What's up, y'all? It's your boy JTMM, aka JustTenMoreMinutes, aka the Freakin 10, back again with more Sabaton, and this time Panzerkampf. You know, with each and every song, and one of the things I like about jumping around is it's one of those things for me that keeps everything a little more straight and exciting. And I saw the name of this. At first, I was going to do a march to war. But I didn't see like a video for it. I saw the history video, but I just saw like a studio version with the CD cover. And I may do that one on Wednesday because I want to see the history episode on that. But then this one came up in that same search when I was just doing Sabaton, a March to War. I saw Panzerkampf and I was like, and titles are what get me. If you give me a good title that's gonna expand to an even better story, I'm hooked. Now you could say that about every Sabaton song, but it's just the title. I look for something that grabs my interest, and as soon as I saw Panzerkampf, now I'm probably butchering the name of that, but this is one. It's a lyric video, but I do have the lyrics over here just so I can keep a space of, you know, where the breaks might be, so I can pause it and not interrupt stuff unknowingly. So with that being said, let's check it out.
Into the motherland, the German army march.
Dun 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 dun. Oh, I like that, and oh, that might be one of my favorite entrances. Dun 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 dun. I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, that's dirty. That's just dirty.
In the Soviet Union, summer 1943, tanks line up in thousands as far as I can see. Ready for the onslaught, ready for the fight, waiting for the access to march into the trap. Minds are placed in darkness in the cover of the night, waiting to be triggered when the time is right. Imminent invasion, imminent attack. Once the battle started, there's no turning back. The end of the Third Reich draws near. Its time has come to an end. The end of an era is here. It's time to attack. Into the motherland, the German army march. Comrades side by side to stop the Nazi charge. Panzers of Russian soil thunder in the east. 1 million men at war, the Soviet wrath unleashed.
Okay, I'm digging this song. It's very simple, but it's just got a feeling to it. It's just a dirty, gritty. And the way Joachim is with his vocals of just that, he kind of goes in his normal singing voice and then he's hitting that higher range, which I can't say that I've heard him do, you know, as far as the jump quite a bit. You know, normally he may hit it just in a lyric, but man, that little jump right there, just that contrast. And then this beat is just, and the melody is just dirty. I'm sitting here and I'm like, have there been any other songs like this? I know there's a couple of them where I've just been like, man, that's really like dirty. And I mean dirty in a good way. It's just got that, it sets the mood for it, right? And it's a great song and a great story to put this to. with the German invasion into the Soviet Union. And it's funny because I just did the defense of Moscow, and I picked this one just by the name, not realizing it was actually about this invasion, which is another one that just it truly fascinates me, because when you talk about Germany and you talk about the Soviet Union, just the David versus Goliath, and it still boggles, or not boggles my mind, but I still am very impressed by the Russians with, that their octane was different, that the railroad, tracks were different. All of those things that they did, really were brilliant from a strategic standpoint. Into the motherland, the German army march. I love that opening. In the Soviet Union, summer of 1943, tanks line up in thousands as far as the eye can see, ready for the onslaught, ready for the fight, waiting for the Axis to march into a trap. Minds are placed in darkness in the cover of the night, waiting to be triggered when the time is right. Imminent invasion, imminent attack. Once the battle's started, there's no turning back. The end of the Third Reich draws near. Its time has come to an end. The end of an era is here. It's time to attack. Into the motherland, the German army march. Comrades stand side by side to stop the Nazi charge. Panzers on Russian soil, a thunder in the east. 1 million men at war, Soviet wrath unleashed. That's another one. It flows so easy off the tongue. Oh, this is good. Let's keep going. I really like this one.
Fields of Prokhorovka, where the heat of battle burned, suffered heavy losses, and the tide of war was turned. Driving back the Germans, fighting on four fronts, hunt them out of Russia, out of Soviet land, reinforce the front line, force the Axis to retreat, sending all the reserves, securing their defeat. Soldiers of the Union broke the citadel, ruined Soviet army, Axis rest in hell. The end of the Third Reich draws near. Its time has come to an end. The end of an era is here. It's time to attack. Into the motherland, the German army march. Congress side by side to stop the Nazi charge. Panzers on Russian soil, a thunder in the east. 1 million men at war, the Soviet wrath unleashed. Onward, comrades, armies of the Soviet Union, charge!
I was wondering if they were doing it on purpose, or they it was just something where they wanted to tell this part of the story. But in the first lyric, right? So, when they're talking about, in the Soviet Union, summer 1943, tank lines up in thousands as far as the eye can see, ready for the onslaught, ready for the fight, and then waiting for the Axis to march into a trap. So that is really the one part in that first verse that just doesn't rhyme. And I was like, okay, could they just not find something, because then they went on to, put something in that does rhyme in that with night, but then it was when the time is right. So they weren't going for a rhyme with map. But then in the second verse, they did the same thing. Fields of Porokova, or forgive my pronunciation, where the heat of battle burned, suffered heavy losses, and the tide of war is turned. And so, again, that's fine. And then driving back the Germans, fighting on four fronts, hunt them out of Russia, out of Soviet land. So it's that land part that they didn't rhyme anything with. But then they went on to reinforce the front line, force the Axis to retreat, send in all the reserves, securing their defeat. Soldiers of the Union broke the citadel, ruins of an army, Axis rest in hell. So that stood out to me, is that in both the first and the second verse, they had these lines that didn't rhyme. I don't have a problem with it. It's just one of those little interesting things that stood out to me from a rhyme perspective, because there's so many different things. When you talk about fighting on four fronts, you could use months, right, as a rhyme for that. There's so many things you could do with that, instead of just saying hunt them out of Russia, out of Soviet land. But again, I go back to the first verse where they did the map. I think, excuse me, trap. My apologies. That didn't rhyme. That there's so much that you could do. Ready for the onslaught, ready for a fight. You could use right or tight or, might. There's so many different rhymes you could do with that. So for them to do that and not rhyme just makes it stand out more for those, it almost in the exact same spots. So that's the little stuff that I catch on to. I've heard a lot of the story already, obviously, with the first one that I did where they covered towards the end, then it was talking about the middle. So now, this is continuing the same story, but this is one, again, I talk about and something that came up in my mind during the song. One of the things that I love about Sabaton is, as an American, there's so much history that we're taught from an American perspective that gives us a view of these countries, whether it's Russia or Germany, whoever. And, you get these images of your head of what those leaders were like. And it gives you this preconceived notion of, not liking a country's history is the wrong way to put it, but it doesn't put them in the best light. Now, that's not the people. This is more of, I'm talking the government in these countries, whether it's Germany, whether it's Russia at this time. And you always view them in a negative light when at least from an American perspective, Germany and Russia, just whether it was Stalin, or in today's world where it's Putin, but it puts it in a negative light. However, what I love about Sabaton is they switch it to where, you're looking at it from a different perspective of from these countries' eyes of, hey, we're being invaded, let's defend our country. And I love that because for me personally, it allows that different perspective to for like what they did. And I know that may sound weird, but it's one of those where I've learned so much history that I've got a respect for Germany, whether I like what they stood for or not. Some of their tactics, whether it was, I forget the German commander, that Rommel, that went against the orders and was successful, and did that where he stopped and ordered those troops to surrender, right? With just that one, that story will always live with me. Or situations like the defense of Moscow and the defense of Soviet Union, where I look at it from the Soviet side and it makes me proud for them. And so that's what I'm loving about Sabaton, is it just puts it in so many different perspectives that I've never thought about before. So anyway, End of Babel, great song. I look forward to the history tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Y'all know who I am and what I'm about. I'm JTMM. Like, subscribe, and share. I'm out.